Welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and with Maureen Callahan by my side, I can't tell you how many people tell me you are my favorite guest. So I know that there are people excited on the other end of the computer or TV screen. We're not only talking British royals, but American royals too. All right, well, let's jump into Harry and Meghan. It's been just a year since those Radar Online reports that Harry and Meghan were taking time apart. That was last summer, where rumors were swirling that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage was on the rocks. Radar Online reported that Harry and Meghan were taking a break to heal and rebuild their bond. They're trying to figure out what hit them. Harry doesn't fit into Meghan's tacky Tinseltown world, a source told the outlet, adding that he's hoping to find himself. At the same time, Heat reported after a disastrous few months for the couple, we're told Meghan's feeling frustrated at her fall from grace, and Harry is in the firing line. Now, friends of Harry and Meghan told Page Six that the rumors weren't true, but Meghan was suspiciously absent throughout Prince Harry's promotion for his book, Spare. Heat reported Meghan can now see that whether it's fair or not, they are being viewed as these professional whiners. And it's not as simple as her distancing herself because she has to be seen as fully supportive of Harry. She's now regretting that she wasn't more hands-on or involved when he was putting his book together. Maureen, a year out, are H&M still seen as professional whiners?
Kinsey, I think the answer is a hard yes. So the Hollywood Reporter, I don't know if you saw this, but they just ran a really bruising story in which people on the inside of the industry have said that the town is over them, the industry is done with them, everything they have attempted to do is a failure. What was really interesting to me about this piece is Meghan is repped by Ari Emanuel, the head of WME. He's one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. He could have killed that story if he wanted to. He did not. And this story had devastating quotes like, she marches around like a little dictator in high heels. She's made grown men cry. She is a bully to work for. After reports that she tried to get the editor-in-chief, the co-editor-in-chief of the Hollywood Reporter, Mayor Rashawn, sacked, Rashawn said, guess what? Our source is on the inside and is still working for the Sussexes. So they have a traitor in their midst, which is just delicious. And WME also just threw a huge Emmys party last weekend. And guess who did not make the guest list? Harry and Meghan.
That's so true. Absolutely. And I have seen Harry and Meghan push back on that report. And I'm not criticizing some of the people I work with because it's somebody I know that reported that this individual said that they work in separate offices. So there's no dictator in heels marching around because they work in separate offices. And my argument to my friend that reported this would be, why would Harry and Meghan talk to a newer television station in the UK instead of acknowledging Access Hollywood, who reached out for comment when they did their piece on the Hollywood Reporter? Access Hollywood says, we reached out to the Sussexes for reaction and we didn't get one. Wouldn't it be in Harry and Meghan's best interest to fight these claims to Access Hollywood than to a UK media outlet, especially when we know that they hate the UK media?
I mean, that makes such complete sense. Why wouldn't they deny to an outlet that has a far greater reach, that covers the industry? And what is so rich is that Harry is now in New York City without Meghan. He's here for like 8 days. It's part of UN week. He just gave a speech this morning as part of the Clinton Global Initiative, speaking against the dangers of online bullying, one of their favorite causes, bullying. And this is what Meghan is accused of over and over and over. She's been accused of it since she was brought into the royal fold, since before she ever married Prince Harry. And they just lost their top, I believe, communications aide or CEO. He left after only 3 months in the top job. So this is a historical footprint that these two have been leaving. And it only sort of ratifies these claims that she is an irredeemable bully. And as the Hollywood Reporter noted, they said, Harry's actually kind of a nice guy, but he's just weak and an enabler, and he can't stand up to her. So it's already, we're sort of seeing this narrative of like, Harry's just sort of yet another victim here. And can he escape the grasp of Meghan and save himself? That's what I think.
Oh my
That's
God.
where I think they're putting the story. Yeah.
What a great transition. Although I'm going to stop you right there, because in Tom Bower's Revenge, it almost sounds like Meghan was a bully in her first marriage. The way she just throws her wedding ring in a FedEx box and ships it to her husband. And that's the way he finds out he's getting a divorce. Or the way, allegedly, according to Tom Bower, she was just kind of a terror on the set. She was working with a clothing company out of Toronto that I assume is like a Dillard's or a Macy's on her own little line. And she was a terror on the set when they had their photo shoots. He says she kept a lot of the pieces that she wasn't supposed to, that the stylist had brought to dress up her outfits. And, Suits just gave her this confidence that, I guess made her in her own mind justify treating people very, very small. But when you talk about Harry, the big escape, could that narrative be in motion? Again, this is last year when sources told Heat that the Sussexes' professional failures are something that caused tension inside the home. And the Rolling Stone magazine at the same time wrote a piece titled Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are in their flop era. Has there been any significant growth for the Sussexes professionally since that headline? That was one of the first liberal outlets that we actually saw tear into them.
Yeah, we've seen her stalled launch of American Riviera Orchard, which, she made the grand mistake, but I'm sure it was deliberate, of launching that video within hours of Kate Middleton's announcement that she had been diagnosed with cancer. Since then, she's run into trademarking issues. She can't name it American Riviera Orchard anymore. These amateur mistakes that, were they able to attract and maintain top talent, would not be plaguing them. And that sort of circles back to that anecdote that you were discussing from Bower's book, where she's doing this like low rent Canadian photo shoot, and she's being a monster to the people who are there to help her look good. You don't treat people like that, especially on your way up, because guess what? You're going to meet them on your way down, which is where her career trajectory is going. And I think Harry sees this writing on the wall, because he seems to be maneuvering his way back into the royal fold. Very soft launch, but definite steps taken. Currently, he's working without Meghan right now. He apparently, our reporting says that he has opened up lines of communication with King Charles again. He pulped the additional chapter he had prepared for the paperback release of Spare, which is out next month. He's going back to London later this month. And it seems as though he sees that the California experiment has been an abject failure. He does not fit in with her people, her chosen industry, her aspirations. Our reporting just days ago was that his closest friend in LA is his bodyguard. Does it get more grim than that?
Your best friend on the payroll. Well, let's talk about the latest with Harry and Meghan, because, reflecting on what happened last year, it is bizarre to me that we're seeing some similarities. Not on my 2024 bingo card, but over the weekend, Prince Harry went to an A-list packed event without Meghan Markle in sight. You and I know that Meghan's number one objective since she was a little girl was to be accepted in Hollywood, to have A-list stars know her name, to acknowledge her. It's not only rare to see Harry and Meghan not together, especially at an event that would likely mean more to Meghan than Harry, but for Harry to arrive solo, it was also a rare moment because Prince Harry was actually presenting an award versus accepting one. So we should acknowledge that too. Like, let's give him a pat on the back. But this is, Kevin Costner's big event. It's his beachfront estate where he holds this concert for Santa Barbara County first responders. Last year, I wonder if you remember this, there was the awkward moment when Meghan was there, and there was almost a tug of war between her and another woman on stage for the microphone. And it seemed as if the microphone wanted to give the woman wanted to give the microphone to Prince Harry. And so we're being told through the mirror that Meghan was sick. But a part of me also wonders, was Meghan's experience so negative last year, on top of some of the things we've discussed so far about Prince Harry distancing himself? Could Meghan have wanted to stay home because she was embarrassed last year? That clip went viral of her fighting over the microphone.
And that's not the only one, Kinsey. Now that you mention that, that recalls to me, there was this famous polo match, like maybe a year or 2 years into their relocation here. His great friend Nacho Figueroas was playing, and they were awarded the trophy, and Meghan forced her way into the photo frame and was trying to grab the trophy away from like the polo player who won it. I mean, she is shameless. It's just like, gimme, 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 gimme. And I think that she is seen as such a liability. And it really makes me wonder about the fracture in their relationship. It seems like a substantial one. She loves a camera. She's a heat-seeking missile for a camera. If she were really sick, this may sound very cynical, but I really believe this. If she were really sick, we know exactly what she had. She is such a drama queen. Is it the flu? Is it pneumonia? Is it COVID-19? Is it some sort of personal thing? We would know. She loves to play the victim. I don't think she's sick. I think she's hiding her face.
Wow, that is so true. I'm so glad you made that point. One of my favorite headlines to come out of last weekend's event was singer Richard Marx accidentally ignores Prince Harry at Kevin Costner's charity event. That wouldn't happen with Meghan Markle in tow, would it? I mean, this was Meghan Markle's scene. And like you just said, she finds the camera.
Exactly. And I love that moment when you watch Richard Marx sort of coming off the stage, descending the stairs, and he like does a double take because somebody's there. And it just sort of actually shows you, like, without the pomp and circumstance of the royal family, the sort of charisma vacuum that is Prince Harry. All that he's ever really garnered attention for stateside is whinging and moaning about his victimhood, how evil the royal family is, how poorly he's been treated. Are they racist? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on the day. The Todger detail, the frostbitten penis with mummy's cream. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So he's clearly spending his time in New York working on image rehab, right? He's really trying to recenter himself as a serious player in major policy decisions on the world stage.
I did want to ask you regarding Harry and Meghan, what their relationship will be with the Trump administration. Would they have the gall to ask Trump if they could jump on Air Force One? I think that they had a very different relationship with the Bidens.
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think Meghan would allow any of it. I think Meghan regards herself as super woke and super feminist and very anti-Trump. I don't think she would ever say as much because she can't. She's not that dumb. But I don't think that she would take nicely to Harry trying to worm his way in there, nor do I think Harry would be particularly welcome. I think everybody sees those two as the lost leaders they are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even Eric Trump calling him the black sheep recently, saying he's led by his unpopular wife. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's just throw it all out there. And should Prince Harry, now Eric said no. Eric said nobody, we don't care about this guy. Like, this is not a concern for us. But this story is recirculating now. Should Prince Harry be concerned about his visa application being the center of attention again? That judge under the Biden administration had some private correspondence with the Biden administration, and shortly thereafter sided with them and said, Prince Harry's visa application is not of public interest. The Heritage Foundation, they're challenging that, saying, A, we need to see that private correspondence, because how can we successfully defend ourselves when you guys are sharing secrets? And B, we want this judgment tossed out. And we want it reevaluated. Under the Trump administration, knowing that Harry and Meghan have bagged on Trump previously, Meghan saying she was going to stay in Canada if he won in 2016, Harry telling who he thought was Greta Thunberg on a prank call that he didn't recognize as a prank call, that Trump had blood on his hands. I mean, and then Trump saying, I do not like the way they've treated the Queen. I think during a press conference at one point, he called Meghan a nasty woman. There is not a good relationship here. But does he have bigger things to pursue? Is this ever going to?
Yeah, to that point, you're reminding me of Trump once said something, I believe during his first presidency, that was, I don't care what you think of him, it was just really funny. He said something like, I wish Prince Harry a lot of luck because he's going to need it.
Yes.
Yeah, remember?
Oh.
And I mean, even the press corps had a laugh. I mean, I kind of think that, I really actually think that Trump isn't going to pay any attention to this at all. To pay attention to it would elevate it to a level of importance that it simply doesn't deserve.
Yeah.
You know, he and the Republicans won everything pretty much there was to win. And I think he's taking that as an extremely serious mandate, both in terms of domestic and foreign policy. He's got bigger fish to fry. He doesn't really care about these two gnats in Montecito. They're gnats.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the soundbite right there. That just might be the title of this video. Talk to me about why Meghan Markle set this one out. I was genuinely surprised that I didn't see her up there with Beyonce, Cardi B, and Oprah Winfrey and Katy Perry. What held her back from campaigning for Kamala? Was it her confidence in Kamala's ability to win? Or do you think her PR team that's working with her to launch American Riviera Orchard said, you are going to alienate at least half the country if you run on that stage?
My theory, I like your second theory a lot, but my theory is she never got an invitation.
Savage.
And I think that because I don't think an invitation necessarily would have led to her appearing on a stage or issuing a public endorsement, but I think that she would have had it leaked that Kamala's team or Beyonce's team or whomever wanted her to show up in solidarity. She got the invite. She's welcome in these quarters, but she just couldn't do it for diplomatic reasons, even though she's a non-working royal. She would have loved nothing more, I think. That's just my theory.
I think that is the right theory. My head just exploded, because you are so right. She would have wanted us to know that Beyonce called. She would have the same way that they showed Beyonce texting her in the Netflix docuseries. Oh, it's Beyonce. She says, I'm taking, I'm changing the world. Like
it's just a brief text to say that I'm healing generational trauma, and that's why I was put on this earth. And it's like a remarkably cogent, verbose text nobody believes Beyonce is writing in the middle of the day. Sorry.
Exactly. Oh, that is so true. I think that you are exactly right. I think I gave her too much credit there. So thank you very much for setting the record
I do
straight.
like your Netflix. I'm not saying that Netflix maybe didn't like issue like a sort of peremptory like or pre like a sort of warning, like don't put your hand anywhere near politics. Like we're
Yeah.
gonna launch this product line. It very well could be.
Maureen, actually, you're one of the first people I thought about when I saw Meghan in that red dress in LA on the carpet. Please talk to me about your initial reaction to Meghan Markle showing up at the, Children's Hospital LA gala in that very sultry red dress.
I thought about you too, Kinsey, because this was a very odd choice. She wore it, I believe, at the USS Intrepid. It was it was an event for American military. And at the time, it was remarked upon how sort of inappropriate it was. She looked more like she was going to, an award ceremony in Hollywood. It's like a Golden Globes dress. It's an Oscars dress. It's not for a military event, and it's certainly really not for a children's hospital event. And, as we have discussed, and it sounds superficial, but I think it goes to a larger point. The lack of a trusted stylist and a trusted tailor to make sure she is not only dressed appropriately, but that said gown or ensemble fits her properly, just sort of gives more credence to those stories about Sussex staffers fleeing en masse. And then, of course, there was the real meat on this bone, which was the great report that the Daily Mail's incredible royal reporter Richard Eden had, which was that she seemed to stay at this event for an LA Children's Hospital just for the photos. And then she made a hasty exit, which is peak Meghan Markle. I mean, what do you make of it? What do you make of that?
I had heard whispers of that, and I was afraid because, and I love the people that send me scoops. I absolutely love them, but I have to vet them. I can't just repeat things that somebody sends me in my inbox because I risk my credibility if I repeat something that isn't true. And I was so skeptical when I received this scoop in my inbox. I was so skeptical. I couldn't believe it. I thought, I mean, who has the audacity to show up at a children's hospital gala, squat for a couple of pictures with little kids that are ill, and then run off? I just thought that has to be just a mean-spirited rumor that was going around. But when I saw Richard Eden post it, I realized that it was unfortunately likely very true. And I was still shocked. I still could not believe it. It's appalling to me. Either way, I think she's a beautiful woman on the outside. On the inside, I don't feel the same way. But to walk out of an event without you go to those events to celebrate people that are saving children's lives. You're there to acknowledge people that are, working long hours to keep these babies alive. I can't process skipping out early.
So the issue with the red dress, the first go round with the military event, this is where like a royal courtier, a royal stylist would intercede and say, ma'am, this event is not about you. So you're not going to wear the plunging red cutout Carolina Herrera red siren red dress that is going to draw all eyes on you. You're going to dress in something a bit more appropriate. And it's the same thing with the event for the Children's Hospital in LA. That dress is a laser beam. It is meant to put the focus solely on Meghan Markle, who, not for nothing, it's been about 10, 12 days since she's been photographed with her husband, who's been making all of these other really significant public appearances. As somebody who saw that Meghan Markle had the ability to sit through a grueling, dull award ceremony in New York City because she was getting the last award of the night, 2.5 hours of a rubber chicken dinner in New York, followed by, the fake chase throughout gridlocked Manhattan. Meghan definitely has the ability to sit through a boring event. She just didn't care to because it wasn't about her. So, again, we're hitting the bottom of just when you think she can't go lower, she goes lower. It's incredible.
That's so funny that you bring that event up because I had Hertz rental car PTSD when I saw her standing in front of the Costco wholesale sign. I thought, I know people were saying like, what's the big deal about that? But I have been in situations where a publicist will be like, no, we'll put her in front of the floral wall because we don't want her in front of these random brands. She's a Duchess. We don't want her to stay, it hands the tabloids the discount Duchess headline. I've been in those scenarios where the publicist says, no, we're not going to stand in front of the, what is that store that's on Sunset where, the penthouse logo, you know what I mean? Like, no, they're not going to stand in front. We're going to put them over here so that they can't, because that doesn't fit their brand. And to me, it was just so messy, but it's almost as if she reads absolutely every single piece about herself, watches every single YouTube video about herself, because she did release a statement as to why she was there. It was important to her for us to know that she was personally invited by Children's Hospital LA's president and CEO, Paul Viviano. Um, that is bizarre to me, that she wants us to know that she was personally invited and she was asked to be there. Who cares how she got there? She got her great pictures. What is in it for her to release a statement like that, making sure we know that she was invited by somebody at the top?
I think, Kinsey, to your point, because of the Hertz rental car photo op, because of the Costco misplaced photo op, her stock and her star has fallen so far that the implication she knows the rest of us are going to reach is that Meghan gate crashed for her own, for this to redound to her own benefit. So she has to put out this highly specific statement. This exact person at this exact organization issued me this exact invite. And, like her, a housewife, I've got timelines, receipts, texts, photo proof. And it reeks of desperation. It reeks of a kind of, especially in the wake of Harry's somewhat successful rebranding at the UN about a week ago. It reeks of like, hey, I matter too. I'm over here. I'm doing something of like actual value and a contribution to those who are less well off, less fortunate. And it all just feels very sloppy. I also think you're 100% right. I think she reads everything, because did you see last week's Us magazine cover, which was
Oh, yes.
the Sussex is feeding Us Weekly like, oh, we've lost like 19 staff members now. Here
But
are
wait,
all the
I
ways
want
in
you to
which Meghan is, yeah.
Talk to my audience, because a lot of them aren't in the States. Talk to my audience about Us Weekly. Us Weekly to me is a tabloid. Harry is currently fighting the tabloids. Harry wants to take the tabloids down. And maybe I'm wrong, but talk to my audience about how you would define Us Weekly. Us Weekly is not Vanity Fair. Us Weekly is not Esquire. It's not, if I were Meghan Markle, I would have gone to Vanity Fair. I would have gone to one of these ritzy Town and Country. I would have gone to somebody that held a higher significance to me than Us Weekly. Can you describe Us Weekly magazine to the audience, and why it's a very bizarre choice for Meghan to choose to try to defend herself in that publication?
100%. So Us Weekly in America is essentially a grocery store tabloid. You see this at the checkout point. It's around a raft of other tabloids that are down market, like Star Magazine, the National Enquirer. And I don't know how involved Harry was in this. This felt like pure Meghan fed Us Weekly all of her approved sources to say these stories, which are legion, which have existed since the time she was in Buckingham Palace before the wedding. Meghan as a bully, Meghan as a person who shed staff like nobody else, reduced grown men to tears, that she is not a bully, that she often like, oh my God, there was this amazing detail in there, Kinsey, you will love this, that when she has a female staffer who is pregnant, she is so generous that she will give them her used baby supplies. Or if they adopt a puppy, they get like a designer dog leash. Can you imagine? A design,
Oh,
like,
exactly.
lest any of us doubt this woman's endless well of generosity.
Exactly. Well, one of the notes in there was that if you go over to her house, you never leave without a basket of fresh flowers or eggs or whatever. And I thought that that was incredibly interesting, because that is also a piece that was mentioned in that ridiculously savage Cut interview. Meghan handpicked that author, and that author just burned her and talked about how bizarre she was, how she talked like she had a bachelor producer in her head, helping her navigate what words to say. But she said when she left, Meghan forced a bag full, or a basket full of fresh flowers and things on her. And it's just like, you're not going to win people over by handing them your chicken eggs. Like it's just not, you got to be more than that. And then in this release about the event on Saturday, she wants us to know that she has, having visited the hospital on several occasions to meet with patients and participate in the annual Make March Matter campaign, she is now laying out every good deed she's ever done, because she is still, it's eating her up that this bully narrative continues, the same way that her girlfriend said in Us Weekly, well, she went to Texas after the shooting. Well, first of all, you shouldn't bring that up, because I'm from Texas. Texans were livid that she jumped on a plane with a camera crew and went to that elementary school after that school shooting. They didn't want her there. They didn't want her cameras there. Thank God they didn't include any of that in the Netflix docuseries, or I think it would have been the end of them. But, you can't, if you have to tell people all of the nice things you do, then you're not doing enough. You shouldn't have to tell people. We should just know you're a nice person. But it's the opposite that's coming out with people that truly engage with you. It is pretty well known that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, would like to be known, especially by her friends and family, as Catherine going forward instead of Kate. Yeah, it's just kind of, I think aside from it being a respect thing, I think she's just kind of matured and she'd rather be known as Catherine today. Some also say that she was never known as Kate to her core group, that the media kind of stamped Kate on her. But it's been reported that Prince William is hostile, that whenever Harry and Meghan leak stories, or whenever Harry and Meghan comment about Catherine, they say Kate. We contacted Kate about her cancer diagnosis, things like that. But then Meghan sues her, or Meghan's attorney, in the midst of Samantha suing Meghan for defamation, Meghan's attorney is yapping at Samantha for not calling Meghan the Duchess of Sussex. I mean, the hypocrisy is crazy. Her actual title should be like Rachel Meghan Markle on that Netflix series, because that's her legal name. Not, isn't it wild to you that she demands this respect when she doesn't even show it to a working royal who has had one of the worst years of her entire life this year?
It's incredible. I mean, it's the kind of mean girl microaggression that definitely I think women are the first to pick up upon. If Catherine is asking to be known as Catherine going forward, it's also because she's growing into her role as future queen, which is coming probably sooner than she would like. And for them to sort of refer to her by a nickname infers that they are, or implies rather, that Harry and Meghan are closer to them than they are. It implies a familiarity, a warmth, and it doesn't exist. But they will persist. It's sort of the more you tell them not to do something, the deeper they dig in, and eventually the karmic wheel will come all the way around. But I agree with you completely. Her insistence on, I read the credits underneath the trailer of this documentary series, which you can see on YouTube. As you noted, it's got vanishingly small numbers of people who have looked at this thing over 5 days. And it says, from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, as if this is going to drive eyeballs. If anything, it's going to repel people. She is an American. And when they divorce, which if I were a betting woman, I would bet the separation happens next year, if not the divorce filing. Okay, Kinsey. How tightly is she going to cling to that title?
Oh, yeah.
If they're divorced, let's say she's just Meghan Markle, does she enter any rental car office in the land without being addressed as the Duchess of Sussex?
Well, that to be true, because as a feminist, she shouldn't want that title anyway, but she rocks it like it's a Prada. She rocks it like that is that Gucci that she's worked all of her life to be able to carry. So you're absolutely right. Okay, so here's the headline that dropped just before we logged on together. And I was like, I'm just going to ambush you with this.
Right.
Lonely Meghan Markle to launch major charm offensive for Christmas. An insider has revealed that this festive period will see Meghan Markle launch a major charm offensive as the Sussex's popularity begins to drop. Haven't we suffered enough? But it says An insider told Closer magazine a lonely Duchess of Sussex will plan to strengthen her friendships this festive season. They said Meghan has been meticulously curating gift packages filled with a selection of all her favorite things. And of course, plenty of her jam to send to the who's who of Hollywood. Did you just puke in your mouth? And how to me, I read that and I go, of course she's going to try to steal the thunder off of Catherine's upcoming Christmas Carol
Right.
concert.
Right.
But like, what is your reaction to that?
Well, again, when I think charm, I think Meghan Markle, none other. When I think how to win people over and influence them, I think Meghan Markle, none other. And also when I think of really trying to win people over with thoughtful gifts, nothing beats giving people things I love rather than the things I think they would love, that I know them well enough to know they would love. So again, we're just taking guns off the wall and shooting ourselves in the foot every which way possible. I can't wait. I can't wait. And Catherine is going to dominate the holiday season when
Yes.
she comes out for her Christmas event. She is beloved. She has shown what it is to really have strength, character, class. She has won people over like never before. And I get, again, Meghan Markle, my favorite performance artist. I can't wait to see what she does this holiday season.
Do you agree that it's one step above giving people your used baby clothes?
Interesting. Interesting. I'm sure she thinks that her baby clothes are far superior because they have royal DNA on them, right?
100%, and probably some sort of monogram somewhere. Okay, but listen to this because this is funny too. While there is no doubt that it's about promoting her American Riviera Orchard brand, it's also about spreading goodwill and trying to remind people of her softer side. With Christmas around the corner, Meghan sees it as the perfect time to try to rebuild connections and is determined not to start 2025 surrounded by negativity. I mean, that, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted by that. You are the negativity. Like we there was no association with you in negativity until you sat down with your neighbor Oprah Winfrey. Otherwise, we just thought you were beautiful and gorgeous and dressed cute.
Agreed. I can't wait to see the Netflix show if it ever does come to fruition. I also think if she meant any of this, if she meant a sliver of it, what she really would have felt was deep regret and remorse for the way that she tried to engage with Kate Middleton,
Mm-hmm.
the way in which she allowed her to be written about in Spare, giving those private text messages to Harry to publish for the world to see, that a diagnosis of cancer in a young mother of three, the future queen, would cause her to reflect and maybe work very quietly behind the scenes to make it up to her in some way. I mean, that relationship will never be anything of substance ever. You can't come back from what she's done. But
Exactly.
she could work a little bit just to gain a little bit of forgiveness, a little bit of goodwill. And again, her focus isn't there, really where it should be, on her sister-in-law. It's just not. It's on winning over a faceless, vast group of future consumers. That's what this is about. It's fully transactional. She's disgusting, and it's going to be another massive flop.
Yeah, I mean, like imagine if, because they said that the only thing we've heard is that they've reached out to William and Catherine privately, but imagine if Harry and Meghan did an event or went to some sort of gala or something for cancer and just quietly mentioned to their press release system, People Magazine, that they were there to support the Princess of Wales. I mean, like there are teeny tiny, blatant, but teeny tiny things they could do to acknowledge that somebody's having a harder time than they are, but they just refuse to do it. They are just they live in their own little victimhood bubble. But I'm glad you brought this up because I am pretty good about staying off social media to stay sane. I had no clue that there were all of these conspiracy theories about Catherine faking her cancer. And so, I mean, I have here, never in my life did I think I would see a headline like, did Kate Middleton actually have cancer? This is coming from OK Magazine. And it was a Sky News royal correspondent who mistakenly reported in September that pre-cancerous cells had been found in Catherine as opposed to the princess battling cancer. I mean, it was a slip up. And the internet recently stumbled upon this and sieged. I mean, the reporter has updated the original story with the correct terminology, writing, "The princess has shared an update 6 months after revealing she had been diagnosed with cancer and having, after having routine abdominal surgery." But I saw the Daily Beast was writing like, she hasn't updated the story yet. Well, you haven't updated your story yet because she has updated the story yet. But trolls tweeting things like, Catherine thought it was appropriate to play the sympathy card when the popularity of the royal family is an all-time low. Another, a second conspiracy theorist who is likely, somebody without a medical license, claiming precancerous cells are absolutely not cancer. She has milked this beyond all realms of acceptability. I mean, how crowded is hell going to be at this point in time? I would never question somebody as to whether or not their cancer is real. And I just, especially somebody in her position, she's not done anything in as far as I'm concerned. I can't think of any point in time where she has lied to me like the Sussexes, has been dishonest in any way, has kept anything from us that is any of our business. Why do people feel like they're in a position to do this to this young woman?
It feels very Sussex Squad. It feels very motivated by racial animus, truly. Kate is the sort of ultimate privileged white woman, right? That's always been Meghan's problem, right? Racism within the royal family. In the Spanish edition of Spare, she and Charles were named as the alleged royal racists.
Wait, that was Endgame. Omen Scobie's Endgame, but Omen Scobie.
Oh, sorry, Omen Scobie. You're absolutely right. Thank you for correcting me. Yesterday I also saw something typically similarly odious, which speculated. It said, "Why does Kate Middleton look so old?"
Oh my girl, I have been all over that girl. I have been all over that nasty woman. They tried to get me to go on TV with her today, and I said I would rather die in a fire. I'm not going to give her any more oxygen. Yeah, I mean, how? And this is another feminist. I mean, this is we could spend an entire podcast talking about this. A feminist who wants to talk about how poorly Catherine is a cancer patient is aging. You're going to comment on another woman's physical appearance and you call yourself a feminist? I mean, let's not even, aside from the fact that she is suffering from cancer or hopefully cancer-free right now, you would have the audacity to comment on her physical appearance. I mean, what is your reaction to that? How do you comprehend?
I also feel like it's two sides of the same coin, right? To say, like, why does she look so old? Is she a smoker? Is to say, well, it couldn't have been rounds and rounds of chemotherapy after what was surely a major abdominal surgery. And to sort of hook in that line of that precancerous cells and there's no such thing. I think they were taking that from the statement the video that she issued when she said, I'm having preventative chemotherapy, which there's really sort of no such thing. I mean, chemotherapy is given even if they have cut all the cancer out, in case there are microscopic particles that cannot be detected by the most sophisticated machines.
Yeah.
So as those people, they will have their karmic retribution coming for sure. But this is really a kind of disgusting conversation that has been sort of opened up by the toxic negativity of a Meghan Markle.
I'm determined. By the way, did you see the article about Meghan hosting the refugees? It was at the end of last week. Did you stumble upon that or any of the articles about it?
I did see it, and I saw her giving one of those like super saccharine fake toothless smiles to an Afghan woman who was like 4 inches shorter than she was. And it just it was like the sort of wordless encapsulation of brand Meghan Markle.
Well, what I was thinking about in the shower, I warned you of this, that I was thinking of you in the shower, was remember when Harry and Meghan left? Remember when Harry and Meghan left the royal family? They had a Spotify deal and they had a Netflix deal. And I remember thinking at the time, how genius is this? Because what they've done is they've created their own media entity. You know how Donald Trump used to say, like, I don't need a publicist anymore, I have Twitter. Well, with
Yes.
Netflix and Spotify, Harry and Meghan had these two mega corporations that they could use to pump out their messages, that they could use, so they didn't need the media anymore. And today they are catering to Marie Claire, Us Weekly, People Magazine. To me, it says, what went wrong? I mean, you had a really good setup and you could have proven that you didn't need the devil media, because they say that the media is so bad, yet you are
So true.
pandering to like the weirdest outlets.
It's sort of the lady doth protest too much, right? Like the media is too intrusive. Stay out of our lives. We're fleeing Britain with nothing but the clothes on our backs in Tyler Perry's private jet to get away from all of this. And we're going to go to Canada, but really we're going to the heart of California to befriend the likes of Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres and other media moguls who can help us establish our brand. And now what we're seeing is a really very scattershot approach, I feel like, to getting any attention from any outlet, no matter how down market. They're leaking constantly to the likes of Us Weekly and Star Magazine. I mean, these are really down market tabloids, which I devour weekly. But, you would think that they would have a higher sort of plane that they would be looking towards. And what's actually, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it at the top of your show, but what I find most interesting about this is that over the past 2 months, it seems as though each of them have a separate press office because they're doing events separately. And they have not been seen together. I think they were photographed together once over the past 2 months.
Right. Yeah. Before that, it was at Tyler Perry's birthday party. Then we had the for the first time in 3 months, they were standing next to each other for a charity video, which I thought was, for the first time, I felt like Meghan was very not insecure, but she allowed Prince Harry to take the reins in that video. And it was more of his theme when it comes to philanthropy. But that doesn't matter. Meghan Markle usually runs the show. So I thought it was strange that she was letting Prince Harry take the lead in that video. Let's talk about that, because we have seen the Sussexes working independently. To me, it's so jarring to see them working independently around the holidays. Like one of the most magical moments we have all year as royal watchers is seeing the British royal family come together, whether it's Catherine's together at Christmas concert or church at Sandringham. Meghan with the Thanksgiving with the refugees, we just saw that. Prince Harry excluding Meghan's name from his Scotty's Little Soldiers digital Christmas party that's coming up. What is your instinct regarding this relationship? Isn't it jarring to see them so separated during a time where we're supposed to be so united?
Yeah, I mean, Kinsey, there are a few things that strike me, and your observation right there is really one of them. The first is that Meghan let Harry take the lead in something. This is a woman, again, if you want to look at the nonverbal signals that she's constantly sending, where she's constantly clasping him, grabbing him, pushing her way in front of him, being the mouthpiece on videos such as, Your Vote Matters, this sort of like ridiculous garbage that nobody needs to hear. She's taking a back seat. And I get the definite impression that she is feeling as though the control of this marriage and this brand is coming out of her grasp. The second part is that we are 2 days away as we're speaking now from Thanksgiving, an American holiday to be sure. But Harry, who lives here now, must be thinking, okay, this is a holiday that is all about family. It's all it exists for, to come together with your family, your friends, your loved ones. You celebrate over a meal. Everyone contributes. Everyone celebrates. There's nothing transactional about it in the least. Who is going to be at the Montecito Mansion for Thanksgiving? Doria and the kids. That's it. Their best friends, Ellen and Portia, have decamped to where else? The UK. They're not invited to Sandringham for Christmas. His family is further and further out of reach with a sick father. I think that this has been And again, he turned 40. I think this has been a very consequential year for Harry, where he is truly taking stock of the terrible life choices that he has made. And the third thing is the curious use of this word separation, that they are, this is the official terminology that they're putting out. They are separating their brands. There are many other words one could use. You could use bifurcating, you could use dividing, you could use America's favorite corporate jargon. We are restructuring. Now, restructuring often implies laying off, and I think someone in this marriage is getting laid off soon, and it's not Prince Harry. I think it's Markle. But I think that the use of the word separation tells us so much. I think it's priming the public for a personal separation.
Absolutely. All right. At the end of this week, we know Prince Harry is heading, according to Tadler, Prince Harry is heading to London to attend the Well Child Awards without Meghan Markle, who hasn't set foot in Britain in 2 years. Harry was just in the UK in August for his uncle's funeral. He's been patron of the Well Child charity for 16 years, attends this event regularly. And this is one of the few organizations that he kept in contact with after he stepped back from royal duties. So this charity obviously means a lot to him. We talked earlier about how sources said it was really important to Meghan that she look like she was supporting Prince Harry. And when you think about how much the Well Child Awards clearly means to him, do you ask yourself why she doesn't support this in the same way that she supports Invictus? Or is Invictus several days where she gets several outfit changes, so it's a little bit more Meghan time, and that's why she might put more effort into Invictus?
That's a great point. That is a great point. And they have had so many missteps. I don't know if you remember, but they were invited to, it was around this time last year, the premiere of a movie about Bob Marley. And she showed up dressed like it was the Oscars. Everybody else was like dressed up, but appropriately so. And she was like in a full ball gown and hair and makeup. And then they were sort of striding, and she, of course, was in front because she's always leading him around like a household pet. And she's striding so confidently to the front row, and they're like, "Oh, excuse me, ma'am. Like, you're not only several rows back, you're in the middle of the aisle." The indignity. So, I think that she's very, very, very suspicious and aware that she might be knocked down several pegs when she attends these places. He is still clearly welcome. He is still clearly wanted in a lot of rooms. And he is sort of banking on goodwill that he built up as a working royal. She, on the other hand, is just a complete loss leader and has been since day one.